everybody, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about my struggles since having weight loss surgery, like things I have been struggling with or am struggling with currently since weight loss surgery, or that has to do with the weight loss or weight loss surgery. So, and I don't want anything I say in this video to make someone who wants to get weight loss surgery change their mind, because if I got to do it all over again, I would have done everything the exact same way. Actually, no, I would have gotten a bypass first, because then I would have avoided all the acid reflux issues I had. But we'll get into that. We'll talk more about that later. I had weight loss surgery in, I have to figure out in my head, 2015. And it went well. I lost most of the weight I wanted to lose at that point. In total, since then, I've lost 220 pounds. And right now, I'm sitting about 160. I'd like to lose 40 more pounds, but my doctor says she's happy with where I'm at. But so maybe if I lose 20 more pounds, we can all be happy. So we'll see, meet her in the middle there. But, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm really gassy today. Like up here, not down there. So I had the gastric sleeve done in 2015, I want to say. I forget, but I think it was 2015. And it did great, had a great time with it. Everything went well, except that I developed really horrible acid reflux. And they put me on, omeprazole, but I don't want to be on a medicine like that long term, because I'm already on 3 medications I'm going to be taking for the rest of my life. I didn't want to add another one. And although it did help, it didn't help enough to warrant me taking another medication every day. You know what I mean? So I kept going back because they had to keep checking to see if it was getting worse. And it was getting worse and worse each time. So I reached out to my weight loss surgeon that did the first surgery to see what they wanted to do. And they were like, well, we won't file with the insurance. You're going to have to do all that yourself, and they won't pay for it. Completely unhelpful. So I called another surgeon at a different location in the same surgical group, though. And I said, I told them my story. They were like, oh, yeah, we'll do everything for you. It sounds like you need a revision. You'll come in for a consult and talk to the doctor. And so I go in to see the doctor, and he looks at me, he talks to me for a few minutes. He goes, what we need to do is we need to order what's called a Bravo, and that's where they put the gastroenterologist implant something in your esophagus to measure your pH balance. I think I'm getting that right. And that will help tell them how bad the acid reflux has gotten. So I had that done. And after that test was done, the gastroenterologist called me and he said, I'm going to write in your notes that I advise a revision to your gastric sleeve to gastric bypass. Now, the insurance company wouldn't approve it because I wasn't what they would consider overweight. Like overweight, obese, morbidly obese enough to justify paying for that. But they explained that's not why she's having it done. She's having it done because of the acid reflux. I was flirting with Barrett's esophagus. And I know the doctor, he ended up battling it out with the insurance company for me. And he just said, look, this girl's going to develop Barrett's esophagus, which is pre-cancer. And do you want to pay for that, or do you want to pay for this surgery now? And finally, they agreed to pay for it. And what was great about it was at this point, I had already met my my out-of-pocket for the year. So I didn't have to pay anything for the surgery. So, and I also, that same year, I had my breast reduction done, and I didn't have to pay anything for that either because of the out-of-pocket being met. So I went and I had my my gastric bypass done, and I lost a little bit more weight, not a ton, because they wanted me to kind of stay around the same weight. At that time, I was about 200 pounds when I had that done, and so now I'm down to 160. And so the acid reflux is a lot better, but it is starting to come back a little bit. Not horrible, but a little bit. And they want me to go to the gastroenterologist again to have that test done. And I'm having a really hard time scheduling the appointment. I'm going to try again tomorrow. But there's really nothing they can do now. There's nothing else they can do. You know, I don't even know if they could do another revision of the gastric bypass. I mean, there's nothing more they can really do. So we'll see about that. But one of my struggles has been, you know, after the sleeve, was the extreme acid reflux. It was horrible. It was painful. It was keeping me up at night. It was just dreadful. And another issue I had, this isn't exactly health related, this is medical care related, is that before I had the weight loss surgery and lost all that weight, I would go to the doctor and say, I mean, I could have gone to the doctor with a cannonball wound in my chest, and I would say, you know, I have this cannonball, I got hit with a cannonball, and I have this cannonball wound in my chest. Can we do something about it, you know? And they would say, oh, well, it's the weight. No matter what the problem was, it would be the weight. I would go in, say I burnt my arm or something. Like I have this really bad burn on my arm. Oh, it's the weight. No matter what the issue is, I'd go in with the flu. It's the weight. I'd go in with a sore throat. It's the weight. No matter what I had wrong with me, they would always blame the weight. And I was like, okay, I understand it's unhealthy to be over 300 pounds. I know that. But I still would like some medical care for like the sore throat or whatever the case may be. So then after the surgery and after I lost a good bit of weight, I went to the doctor. I think it was about an earache or something. I was just having like ringing in my ears and it was hurting. And they were like, oh, well, it's from the weight loss. And I was like, okay. So I got kind of frustrated. So I said, so before, anytime I came in to the doctor, if there was something wrong with me, if I felt sick or something, it was always blamed on my weight. But now I come to you with a ringing in my ears and an earache, and now it's the weight loss. So I ended up, out of frustration, I wanted to know, how should I talk to these doctors to receive care? Because I did end up going to the ER with a horrible fever, and I got antibiotics because I had a really bad ear infection. And that's what was why I had the pain in my ear. So, which is usually or oftentimes the case. But the doctor's office wouldn't treat me. They wouldn't even look in the ear. They just said it was the weight loss. I no longer go to that doctor, by the way. So I was at the time I was still going to that doctor, and I wasn't properly advocating for myself, I guess. So I got frustrated with everything. It just seemed like every time I went in there, it was because of the weight loss. Before everything was because of the weight, then it became because of the weight loss. So I called my weight loss surgeon. And I spoke to his nurse and I said, I was just hoping you could like give me some tips on how to talk to these doctors, because, and I told her, I said, anything I had wrong with me before the weight loss surgery, anytime I went in with an issue or a medical problem, they would always say, well, it's the weight. And she goes, yeah, okay. And I said, and now anytime I go to the doctor with something, they say, oh, it's the weight loss. And she just laughed and she goes, my best advice to you is change doctors. And that's exactly what I did. And my doctor I go to now currently is wonderful. She listens to me. And when I want to talk about the weight, or when I want to talk about the weight I want to lose, her big thing is, I don't want you to lose too much weight, because she's like, how did she explain it? There's going to be fluctuations in my weight as I get older, and that she doesn't want me to lose too much weight and then be underweight and have that affect my bone density. She explained it much better than I did. This isn't a medical channel. So, but when I go to her with a problem now, she actually examines that part of my body. Not that I'm always at the doctor, but she actually examines that part of my body and is like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. You know what I mean? So that, again, was not really because of the weight loss surgery per se, but just something I wanted to put out there. It's a frustration I've faced that I don't know if everybody who has the surgery will face that, but it's something I've dealt with. Another thing that is a problem for me since the weight loss surgery, since the weight loss, I should say, is my hips and my knees hurt really bad. I never had bodily pains, like regular body pains, before I lost the weight. I know they were coming because I was, pushing 50 at the time. I knew, if I don't do something now, I'm going to be in pain all the time, every day, and I'm going to start facing medical issues. Well, now my knees and my hips are just, some days it's just all I can do to keep from crying. The aching is so bad. And they did explain that is the weight loss, and their best advice is swimming. And they're right. I always feel great during and after swimming, but right now we can't really do that because the pool's closed. It's January. But that's one problem I've developed since the weight loss surgery that is, according to the medical professionals, related to the weight loss, at least to some degree. And another issue I've had, now I did have a panniculectomy to remove excess skin. That's the apron around your belly that if you lose a lot of weight, the skin starts sagging. So I had a panniculectomy to remove that. Now, I don't regret having that done because it needed to be done. The insurance I had at the time was wonderful insurance, and it covered that kind of surgery. But the insurance I have now doesn't cover that. And I'm starting to get more loose skin since that surgery. I've lost like 60 more pounds. But I had it done when I did because the irritation and rashes were so bad. But, I am saving up to have another one done. And then also I had breast reduction done. And I'm not going to show you my breast. Obviously, this is YouTube. And the surgeon was great, but one of my breasts is round and one of them is kind of pointy like, and they both are a nice shape, but I just wish I had a matching set. Like I had a matching set before I had the breast reduction. Yeah, they almost hung down to my knees, but they at least both look the same. But now they're like both different, and I know that sounds like a superficial, shallow thing, and it is, but that is another problem. Not so much a regret. I don't want to say any of these are regrets because it was all worth it to lose that weight. But a good thing about them is I don't have to wear a bra, and they stay jaunty and like, hello, what are other issues I've had? Oh, and the hair loss. The hair loss is so bad. I'm still losing hair from the weight loss. I'm looking in the mirror right now. So you can see all the thinning. And I've always had pretty thin hair, but I use this shampoo bar from Lush, Honey I Washed My Hair, and it really seems to be helping. And I've been taking hair, skin, and nails vitamins. It doesn't really seem to do much, but my nails grow crazy though. But yeah, there's that. I used to have a lot of darkness around here, around my joints and stuff. All that is gone, so that's a huge positive because it just looked like dirt. But I think that's about it. So there aren't, a ton of problems I've had since then, but, I think that they were significant enough to mention. So those are just things that they probably aren't super common, but just things you might want to think about if you're thinking about getting weight loss surgery. At the end of the day, I think weight loss surgery is worth a few minor inconveniences, because that's what I look at them as. They're minor inconveniences. You know, you do have to like kind of learn how to talk to doctors after great weight loss, because you may not, if you've been someone who's been super morbidly obese your whole life. I wasn't. I started gaining weight when Marshall was diagnosed with cancer. But before then, I was always pretty thin. And when I was a little kid, I was always considered underweight. I was a skinny little slender girl. You know, I was just so skinny, and I would always get picked on for being skinny. But, shit, what was the point to what I was saying? Oh, if you're someone that kind of always dealt with morbid obesity, and you've developed a way to talk to your doctors and medical professionals, that kind of way of speaking to them is going to change slightly after you start losing the weight. And I know a lot of people, I've met a lot of people in the weight loss surgery community, particularly in my area because of support groups and such. 100% of the friends I've made in this area have actually changed their primary care physician since they dropped the weight, because I guess their medical needs changed and they needed a doctor that was going to, because I've talked to them and they feel like they've been poo-pooed for being overweight and then were poo-pooed for losing weight. So that to me seems to be like the biggest issue, is getting a doctor to listen to you instead of just say, oh, well, it's the weight loss. It's the weight loss. It's the weight loss. You have the cannonball in your chest. It's the weight loss, you know? So you've got to force them to listen to you. And I think that's it. I can't really think of anything else that's been a big problem. The reasons why I had weight loss surgery are way more impactful, I think. So I may make a video about that one day, because anyway, so anybody who watches this video, because I know the last time I did a video about my weight loss surgery, people were saying I was fat phobic. I've become a former fatty mean girl and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I still got some fat on me. I don't think I'm a mean girl, but I have become very, I don't support the fat acceptance community at all. I do have issues with it, and we'll talk more about that in a future video. But I'm going to go ahead and get off of here, and I will talk to everyone later. I hope some of the information I gave you was helpful, and please don't let any of it change your mind about weight loss surgery. Because, like I said, if I got to do it again, I would do it the same way, except that maybe I would get the bypass. I would get the bypass instead of the sleeve. So, yeah, but that's it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to everyone later. Bye.